What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and as the price of summoning eyes continues to rise, with them being at 1.3 million and almost 1.4 million coins each, it's becoming more and more profitable to be farming summoning eyes. If you read the title, today we will be talking about the complete progression guide for farming Zealots in Hypixel Skyblock. Personally, I used to farm a lot of Zealots and grinding summoning eyes in the past, back when they were like 500k, because one, I wanted to make money, and two, I actually enjoyed doing it. And as you can see here, I believe I have something like 35,000 Zealot kills. 35,902 Zealot kills, and pretty much farming Zealots is something I've been doing for a long time, and I've kind of like, I did it back in my early game, and then I'm doing it even nowadays. And today I'm going to share with you guys how you can progress, and when you're early game, mid game, late game, or end game, how you can farm Zealots in the most efficient way possible, depending on your point in the game. When you're starting off in the early game, you pretty much just need to get young dragon armor, a good decent damage early game weapon, and also a god pot, and you pretty much just want to be running around killing Zealots and moving around. If you're able to one tap them with an aspect of the end, that is ideal because you'll be able to move efficiently and kill Zealots efficiently at the same time. So you can just do this, run around, and pretty much kill them. You need to make sure to be able to one-shot them, because if you cannot do that, it will make it much harder to grind them. And young dragon armor is excellent for this because of the extra speed. You get 500 speed, as you can see, with young dragon armor paired with the god pot. So you pretty much just run around and kill Zealots like this. Afterwards, when you've progressed a little bit, you can then swap your weapon for an aspect of the dragons. This is a clean one I just picked off of the aged lowest bin, just for demonstration purposes. And you can actually run around with this. You can also use it for one tapping Zealots, because it's also pretty good at that, but I do recommend using aspect of the end if you're able to. This is unenchanted, so I can actually one tap Zealots. But essentially what you can then do is, for example, get Wise. I have Necrotic, but you can just get Wise on your young dragon armor, and you can run around and use the ability and essentially be using that to kill your Zealots, and it makes it much more efficient, especially in lobbies where there's less people, because the Zealots will stack up in groups of 2, and you can then kill them even more efficiently. Try to get a decent level of ultimate Wise on your aspect of dragons, because it does consume quite a bit of mana, and that is why I recommended earlier to use Wise Reforge on your young dragon armor. You can just run around, farm Zealots, swap to your aspect of the end when necessary, and just use your ability. Like this, boom, boom. It's a really good strategy, and honestly, even later in the game, I still use this strategy for a very long time. It's actually one of my favorites, and it's quite satisfying doing it. After you've moved on from using your aspect of the dragons and you want to become a little bit more annoying, then you're going to be looking at becoming a frozen Scythe non. The trademark Zealot hunting, and for good reason, because the frozen Scythe has an amazing ability that is practically made to kill Zealots. You can quickly run around the place and just pretty much kill all the Zealots you see. It's over a really good weapon. That was actually my main weapon I used to use. I used to be a frozen Scythe non back when farming Zealots was profitable. I mean, it is profitable again now, but back when everybody pretty much did it for money, and it was the best money making method. And yeah, Frozen Scythe, I haven't done this in a very long time, but essentially the Frozen Scythe has a really fast projectile speed, and it's pretty easy to make it one-shot Zealots, and you can pretty much just run around with it. I just bought this one off the age Ultimate Wise 5, it's pretty good. I just run around and you can pretty much just kill. Oh, I got a special Zealot already. Yeah, and you got a summoning, and that's 1.4 million coins right there. So yeah, farming Zealots is honestly just a really good strategy. And let's now move on to some more serious Zealot farming setups. The next setup we're talking about requires a diamond Necron head and 3/4 Necron. Just kidding, it requires any decent damage armor set. You can use honestly anything, because the weapon you're using is going to be a juju short bow. A juju short bow can easily one-tap Zealots, and its projectile speed I believe is slightly faster than the Frozen Scythe. And it's overall just a superior weapon to the Frozen Scythe, and you won't run out of mana with it, even though you don't really run out of the Frozen Scythe. And you pretty much just use the Juju shortbow in place of a Frozen Scythe with any armor, and it's pretty good. Right now, as you can see, I'm using Young because once again, Young's speed will come into play because damage is not a problem. As you can see, even a Young Dragon armor, let me kill a Zealot real quick. If I can find one that didn't get killed. It should be one spawn in a couple seconds here. Here we go. Even in Young, I'm dealing 183,000 damage per arrow, and that's just overall really good damage output. And you can just farm there. It's very easy to get the damage if you're using a Juju. And of course, the most important component is to have the End rune so you can show who is more alpha. That's a joke, by the way. You don't need the End rune, but as you can see, you can pretty much run around the map, and using the Juju shortbow, or of course a Terminator if you really want to flex, you can just run around. It is actually much better than the Frozen Scythe. If you want, I can go and compare the two. This is a Frozen Scythe projectile. As you can see, it goes through like this. And the Juju shortbow projectile is just much faster. You use an arrow. So you can go like this, and you can beat out. And if you're really annoyed by all the Frozen Scythe nods running around, you can use a Juju, and you will pretty much beat them because your arrow will move faster than their Frozen projectile. And you can do that. And yeah, it's pretty overpowered, honestly. I really like using the Juju shortbow farming Zealot. You just feel so powerful when you're doing it, and that's why I would normally recommend, but there are other strategies that may even be better. Seeing as they were so terribly outclassed by the Juju nons, the Frozen Scythe nons needed to act, and then they decided to evolve. Using the Precursor Eye and a decent mana set, I recommend Storm, but Wise works perfectly as well. You can now move around. I've actually never do this. I'm going broke buying all these items for this video, by the way. And then pretty much you can just go and you can crouch and fire lasers, and pretty much it takes a lot of practice, but once using it properly, you can pretty much fire lasers at incredible speeds and just spam the crouch button to fire these lasers and kill Zealots that way. You can see I'm just spamming crouch, and you of course make sure to not hold it because your mana will deplete super fast, but see, it has a pretty decent AoE, and you just jump around and just crouch twice. And you pretty much just kill the Zealot and fire a laser beam. It has amazing range, amazing attack speed, very, very good AoE, and you can just use that and run around and pretty much kill them. And as long as you don't accidentally hold the laser, you should be able to fire them. As you can see, these guys stand no chance against the laser. He's just running towards it, but I'm just killing them right before he reaches them. You can see it's pretty funny. We'll just trail this guy, and you can pretty much just kill all of them before anyone else can reach them, and this is going to be your ultimate, pretty much ultimate final form Zealot grinding. It will usually outperform the Terminator if well used, and it's just a really broken thing. Like, it's literally like made for this. It's useless everywhere else, but like, it can one-tap Zealots, so you can just run around and just do this. It's really awesome, honestly, what this thing can do, and it's like the only place I ever see any people using it. As you can see, people have no chance. Like, I just got Crystal Fragment right there. People have no chance against this thing. Like, it's so good. When you're using a Precursor Eye, even someone using the Juju, my second recommended weapon just doesn't stand a chance because the projectiles fire so fast. I can just run around, and pretty much no one can ever hurt me. And if you have a lot of mana, you can actually kind of do this where you just hold the laser and run around, but it kind of makes you blind and it will deplete your mana. But if you have decent mana, like right now I'm in full necrotic Wise, I'm actually just able to hold this, and I can just run around and kill everything that I look at. You see, this is actually like amazing. You can pretty much kill, I don't know why it's not working there, but you can kill everything that you look at, but it does seem to be a little bit less accurate, which is kind of weird. But as you can see now, my mana is starting to deplete really fast. I'm about to run out of mana, and boom, I'm out of mana, as you can see there. Let me just turn off the laser. And now, yeah, so it is recommended to just do this because your mana will run out, and also it's kind of weird to use, and it's better to just spam crouch. And it's just the most overpowered thing. So if you want to make money farming Zealots, especially once again, Zealots right now in the bazaar are currently 1.4 million. These are what people are wanting to buy them for. 1.4 million coins per eye, and you can get several eyes per hour. And the better your setup, the more eyes you will get. So if you're using something like Necrotic Wise, it's just really cheap to get. You can just use Very Wise Dragon Armor and get a Precursor Eye. Of course, that's more expensive. Then that will be your ultimate endgame setup for farming Zealots. You just run around, and people pretty much won't stand a chance. People might get annoyed at you for doing it, but it's less of a stereotype than like Frozen Siphon or Juju, so most people won't dare talk against you because you just have the superior weapon for this. Also note though that your damage will be quite low, so you will struggle killing runic mobs, but those are so rare that it doesn't really matter all that much. But overall guys, that is pretty much it for this complete progression guide for Zealot farming. There are of course probably some other setups I missed, but in my experience, after having killed almost 40,000 Zealots, these are the best strategies for different points in the game. Once again, to recap, early game, you want to be using something like Young Dragon Armor for the speed, and you start off with a decent weapon that can hit melees. There's an aspect of the end if you're able to one-shot with the God Pot, and once you're able to get an aspect of the dragons, you should be using that ability as much as you can, because it will give you an edge on other players due to the extra range and the AoE. Afterwards, you can then go and become a Frozen Siphon. Let me just swap the helmet. You can become a Frozen Siphon, very famous because of its ability to farm Zealots. It's such a good Zealot farming setup. And you can also use a Bonzo staff instead of the Frozen Scythe, but it won't be as good because the projectiles are slower. Frozen Siphon, afterwards, you're going to be using any damage setup. That's alright, you also don't need much. Use any Juju bow and have maybe decent attack speed that usually won't affect it either, and just run around and kill Zealots with the Juju short bow. It's better than Frozen Scythe because faster projectile speed, and faster projectile speed is key here. Talking about faster projectile speed, you then must evolve to the end game Zealot farming setup, which is going to be your precursor eye and pretty much a decent movement weapon such as Aspect of the Void. And you can see here, and once again, I wanted to show you guys one more thing. With the Aspect of the Void, if you really want to become like ultra sweat, you can use the Aspect of the Void to gain more speed faster. As you can see here, I just went past everything. You can just go boom, and that's like a big, okay, it doesn't really work paired with the eye, but like, you can just like do this, and let me just take off the eye because it's annoying my vision. And you can go like this, and you can move forward. Like other people have to TP normally and everything, but you can just ether warp, and ether warping will just make you get to like different, oops, that's done. Doesn't matter. Ether warping will just allow you to go places so much faster. So let me just get a decent weapon here. And then pretty much you can ether warp. Once again. Nope, and still protect. Nope. Okay. So you can just ether, sorry for repeating it so many times, but you can like ether warp to a different location and kill the mobs there. So you go and you pretty much have to memorize each of the spawn points for Zealots, and you can just use that to your advantage. So for example, I know Zealots will spawn in this area, so I'll ether warp here and I'll get right to the Zealots area. This place is actually pretty cool, and this is an excellent place actually to show the aspect of the dragons because you can AoE and kill multiple Zealots at the same time. But I've been dragging this long enough, so let's get back to the outro. And yeah guys, that's pretty much it for this complete progression guide for Zealot farming. Once again, I may have missed some setups, but from my experience, these are the best setups for different progression. And that's pretty much it. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I wasted a bunch of money because I'm pretty sure the precursor eye and things I bought were pretty overpriced. But yeah, so if you did, please leave a like on this video and also subscribe. Also make sure to join my Discord server because there are several giveaways on it right now. And just overall pretty good time. And I've been rambling long enough. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.